right, well, I'll do my intro again, just in case you forgot from a couple minutes ago. Sam Sarsten with NCAN Designs, helping small businesses all over the country get more TLC, traffic, leads, and clients. And we really focus on local SEO. Don't worry, we're going to talk about all that. We will talk about what those three letters stand for. We'll talk about what local SEO is, and we're going to talk about what really matters to get to the top of Google. Come on in. Now, I thought about doing the whole spiel, talking about acumen and all that stuff, but you can't get a degree in SEO. So I thought instead I'd tell a couple stories. I hope you're okay with that. So I want to start off by talking about Jeff. Jeff is an expert cabinet maker. He's been doing it for over 20 years. Amazing at his craft. If you could see his work, you'd be like, yeah, Jeff knows what he's doing. And he really got his business going in the Bay Area, like a suburb, grew it up, was able to take care of his wife and their lovely dog. And one day they had the great idea to move out to Bend. And for anybody that's ever relocated before, you know that that's pretty hard. You basically have to reestablish your business from scratch. And so me and Jeff worked really hard on this. That may or may not be his real name. Whoops. Me and Jeff worked really hard on this website, but then when we got done, he had the cash flow issue. It was time to start with SEO services, but he looked out and he saw only one project in the shop. And he said, man, I don't know if we should go forward with this. And he thought about it for a week, because he's a pretty thoughtful fellow. And then he reached back out to me and he said, you know what, let's do it. And 3 months later, I went back to Jeff's shop to see how things were going. And the shop was full. He had a helper that had his logo on the sweatshirt, and he asked me, what else can we do? And that's what I like to see. Those are some of the results that we can see from SEO. But let me tell you one more story, and this is Jenny. Jenny, she is a total boss. Back in her first career, she climbed the corporate ladder, very type A, was able to get everything done, but she realized that her favorite job was actually being a mom. And so she was looking for something a little more woo-woo with career number 2, and so she became a birth doula. And I never thought I would do a website for a doula, but that's what I ended up doing. And the problem that she was running into is the solopreneur's struggle. She was able to replace, she had reached this stopping point where she was trading her time for money, right? She could not make any more money without giving up more time, and she needed to grow. But in order to grow, she needed a few more clients. And so that's why we started to focus on SEO efforts. And right now, we're actually starting to work on the next phase where she's kind of launching this doula agency. So that way she can go camping and not worry about having to have service, so she can catch babies, as she likes to call it. I didn't know that was a thing. And she can trust her team to do that, and she can actually relax with her husband out in the woods. So those are some of the results you can see for SEO. But just so you know, I'm not just some kind of scammer that's going to sell you on all the benefits of SEO. I want to talk about digital marketing as a whole. And really, that should also include things like print media. We had a print media person in here last time. And so I thought about including that in here, because even though it's print media, it's still digital marketing, right? Digital marketing's a lot. A gal that had a table behind me, she was doing like jewelry. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that local SEO is not going to help out her jewelry business. She needs a rockin' Instagram account, maybe some TikToks, right? That will really help her with her jewelry business. So SEO is not the answer to everybody's solution, okay? So just so you know, we're starting this off by saying that SEO might not be the right fit for you, but if you find out that people are getting to your business by Googling, then you want to try to fortify your local SEO efforts. And now I just said local SEO, but what does that mean? Again, we're going to define the 3 letters in just a second. But there are different flavors of SEO. When you go on YouTube and you say, you know, how do I rank higher on Google, and you see the normal videos, they're actually talking about national SEO. And that's typically related to writing blogs, and there's a lot of reasons for that, quick rich schemes, and you know the things that YouTube influencers do. But if you're trying to reach a national audience, it's a totally different strategy than if you're just trying to reach a regional audience. And so that's one of the flavors of SEO. There's other ones out there like international SEO, which I'm oversimplifying, but it's basically trying to rank for like different languages if you're serving a lot of different clients. E-commerce, for instance, if you're trying to rank your category page for Hawaiian shirts with pineapples on them, that's a different strategy than trying to rank for your pressure washing company in your area. And so today we're going to be talking about local SEO. So WTF is SEO? Let's finally define it. So the first 2 letters stand for search engine. And in case you didn't know, about 94% of online searches go through Google. So if we're talking about SEO, we're talking about Google. If in your head you're thinking, I use DuckDuckGo or I use Bing. If you use Bing, don't say it out loud. But if you use DuckDuckGo, I understand why you do that. But just know that the vast majority of online searches go through Google, and the other algorithms are trying to copy Google. So if we optimize for Google, we're probably optimizing for DuckDuckGo, and we're probably optimizing for Bing. Now that last letter, that O, is optimization, but it's a little misleading. I know why they use that word. It's because we want to optimize the website for the search engines. But what's probably a better term would be manipulation. We want to manipulate the search engines to put us higher up than our competition. But people don't like that word because it has a negative connotation. So we're going to say influencing, or kindly persuading. We're going to say, hey, Google, I know our competitors are pretty good, but we're better. So can you please put us a little bit higher? And that's what we're going to talk about later, is how do we actually do that? So now that you know what SEO is, let's define a couple other terms. The next one is the search engine results page, or I'm going to call it the SERP, S-E-R-P. And so whenever you search for something, this page pops up. Now this is an example of plumber near me in Portland, because I may or may not have taken the screenshot at the airport while I was waiting to leave for here. And just so you know, the SERP changes based on many factors. For instance, if you were to search plumber near me versus plumber Portland, Oregon, you would actually see different results. Even though Google internally knows that means the same thing at this point, it still shows up different results. Also, the device used will give you different results. If you do it on your phone versus on a computer, you'll see different results. Also, your location, that is very important, right? Being in even just, Van Nuys versus, farther into the San Fernando Valley. Just kidding, I don't know anything about the geography of this area, sorry people. But being just a couple miles apart can make a huge difference. And really in an area like this LA, the greater LA area, yes, exactly. I would have had to make up words a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I've been exploring. But even just a couple blocks away can make a huge difference in a city as big as this, especially in a metro area like this.
So the idea of just clicking on your phone right now and it recognizes where you are versus putting Pomona, California, that can give you completely different results or skewed results.
Yeah, actually it would, yeah, because sometimes this isn't always the case, but this is really with Google Business Profiles, which we'll talk about here in a second. But if you just search, we'll just do pressure washing because you're the one I can remember, because I have a pressure washing client. And so if we did pressure washing Pomona, California, typically what it'll do is it'll center in on the center of Pomona, and then it'll do the search from there. And so if you were ever to relocate a business, you want to try to get as close to the city on Google Maps. But anyway, don't do that hack. That'll probably not be good in a couple months or a couple years. But anyway, but if we just do near me, it'll do off of our actual location, depending on how accurate we make the results, right? You can do that precise location and it'll probably be think cross streets. If you don't, it still knows where you are based on your IP address, but it's more of think of a couple blocks, right? It's still able to narrow it down from that range. But yes, unless you're standing where the center of Pomona would be, it would be different results. And even then, the wording sometimes gives you different results. But definitely if you're on one side of town versus the other. That even happens in a town like Bend, which is only 100,000 people. I show up in the map pack, which we'll talk about in a second here, on the east side, but not on the west side, dang it, but that's okay. And then I have one client that believes that the weather has something to do with it. I don't think that's actually true, but every time it rains, I'm like, what's happening to the search engines? Just kidding, that was a joke. You're supposed to laugh, but it's okay if you don't. Now, we talked about the search engine result page, but that thing up there, right? What is that? So those are keywords. These are the words that people actually use to find your business online. Typically speaking, it's the thing you think it is, right? It's your business near me, your business, city, and state. But sometimes it can be a little vague. For plumbers, yeah, it's plumber. But for web design, I wasn't sure if it was web design or web designer. And so it's important to do keyword research and to really target. We're going to find out that it's really important to target specific pages to specific keywords. We don't want to get crazy. We don't want to target 1 million keywords, but we want to target 5 to 10 really important keywords and really put a lot of effort behind those. Now let's talk about the pieces of the SERP. So whenever you search something, there's these different chunks that show up. So I don't want to spend as much time because I spent too much time talking about this last time, but depending on your industry, you might see local service ads at the top. And these are sometimes nicknamed Google guaranteed, but these are ads, all right? These are pay per call ads. You can also do pay per message, but it's probably better to do pay per call. Now, I don't do ads, but what I can say is that this takes up the very first section, but it's only for some industries. Window washers is one of them, if you do that. I don't know if you do. Real estate agents, that's one of them. But a lot of other industries do not qualify for local service ads. I don't. And so you might not see this for yours, but it's good to check that out. Maybe paying $20 to $50 for a phone call would make sense for your industry. Maybe it doesn't. There's also PPC, which are your typical Google ads, pay per click. And so each time you click, it's a certain cost. Now, there was a guy that was up on the stage, he talked about the faucet analogy, right? Ads is really like a faucet. If you turn them on, you should get leads if it's optimized right. And the second you stop paying for ads, the faucet turns off, all right? So the reason why I don't like doing any of the ad space is because of that. With SEO, the nice thing is it's this compounding effect. The more you do over time, it tends to build up. And even if you're just like, man, I can't afford SEO services, it's like it doesn't drop down to zero. You're still where you're at. It might start to taper a little bit over time because your competition's probably working against you, but you don't just fall off a cliff. So that's why I like SEO. So let's get into the organic results now. And so the gold, the top, the prime real estate, if you will, is the map pack. That's the first organic result that shows up. And it's usually the top 3 results and then the little map with the pins. You guys have all probably seen this at some point. Occasionally there will be a sponsor result at the top. This is also PPC, so that's kind of a way to cheat to the top. But this is the first organic results. Some research shows that these 3 spots right here get 70% of the clicks in the search engine result page. So it's super important to try to get up here first. Now, you guys might remember the story about Jeff, my cabinet maker we were talking about a second ago. If you click on this button, it actually pulls up, don't look at that stuff, it pulls up this page where you can see more businesses, and he's ranking like 6th, and he's doing just fine, right? And so don't worry too much about showing up in the map pack. Just try to show up as high as you can, all right? Below the map pack are the organic results. These are the typical blue links that we're used to seeing from Google for over 20 years now, and it is still valuable to try to show up as high as you can here, typically on what used to be the first page, so that top 10 results, even though I know it's like a scroll forever kind of thing nowadays. Jenny and her doula service, she shows up in the blue links, and her business has been thriving off of the blue links. So it's really important to try to target both, but if you can show up really high in one or the other, that can be very helpful. Obviously, it'd be great if you show up in both, but just do the best you can. So the meat, what really matters for local SEO, and really for all SEO, comes down to 2 things: relevancy and authority. Relevancy puts you in the right SEO bucket. I'll explain how in a second. If you're not showing up for real estate agent in your city, then then anything else doesn't matter. You have to make sure you get the relevancy part right first. Then you want to work on authority. Authority helps you rank higher. How do we work on our relevancy for local SEO? It's the Google Business Profile and your website. How do we build authority? Well, we build authority. I'm going to say a SEO bad word in a couple slides, and I want to save it because I'll define it there, but just trust me, we'll get to that, okay? So let's get into the Google Business Profile. So these little rectangles that show up next to the map, these are the Google Business Profile. And they're a great way for you to interact with your clients right away. It has your Google reviews. It has ways for them to go to your website, to call you. Some industries let you book online. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do on there. But again, this is that coveted real estate up at the top, so that Google Business Profile is super important. So how do we help out our Google Business Profiles? Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are the owner of it. If somebody fills out a review for your business before you've claimed it, it'll just create a Google Business Profile for you. And so I've run into a couple clients that don't actually own, like they aren't the owner. So make sure you do that. If you don't have a Google Business Profile, set it up. You know, the best day to fill out your Google Business Profile or to set it up was yesterday. The second best day is today. So go set up your Google Business Profile. It's free. And then get it verified. That can be a complicated process. Sometimes they just text you a code. That's nice. Other times they'll have you do like a video verification, which is a little convoluted. You got to get all this evidence together and all this stuff. But anyway, if you need help with that, please reach out. After you get it set up, you want to optimize the profile. And I thought about showing you guys the back end and doing all this stuff, but I have a video where I explain that, and I'll show you in a sec where you can find that. But you want to make sure and fill out all the settings, and then you want to give it love over time. One of my favorite sayings is Google rewards activity over time. And so one way we can do that with our Google Business Profile is to do these things called updates. They have these little, like, almost like, it's down here on the profile. They look like little Instagram posts. And don't worry, you don't have to do it every day. It's not this other social media channel. But what you can do is maybe once a week or once every other week, just post a little something about one of your services, and then the next week, the next service, and then the next week, another service. And if you're doing it yourself, you can do it every other week. That's fine. Studies show that people don't look at these things, but the algorithm does. This is primary data for Google. And so the more data we can give Google, the better, okay? And so that's why we want to do these updates. We want to include photos, right? Because we can see the photos up here, and real photos are way better than stock photos. And they also have Q&As. You can ask questions and answer them. And so you want to fill out a couple of those. I like to spread them out over time, so that way it's kind of giving me that love over time. But the Q&As can be a great way. And once a couple questions have been asked, it encourages other people to ask more questions. And then probably the best thing you could do as a small business owner that you can influence is reviews. Not just more reviews, but higher quality reviews, including photos, trying to include keywords. There's all this stuff you can do, and not just every once in a while. Like, don't just get reviews in September and then do them again in March and then do them again next September. A steady stream of reviews over time. Now, if you need help with this stuff, I have a YouTube channel. It's not big. I'm not one of those YouTube influencers, but I like to post a couple videos every usually about once a week, where I talk about SEO topics. And this is 50 minutes long. It's really long. It's from January, so you might have to dig for it a little bit. But literally, if you put your Google Business Profile on the left and you put this video on the right, by the time you get done with it, you will have it fully optimized. So that's really cool. And then this video is a little bit more recent. Apologies for the clickbaity title, but it's really about reviews. And so it has my review coaching strategy in there and how to get more and better reviews. And in case your QR code didn't work, this will still show up for the next couple slides in the bottom right. So that should pull up the channel, and you can subscribe to it. And I'll probably start talking because a couple of people's phones went off last time, so apologies if that happens. Now, I'm just some guy from Oregon with a pineapple shirt. Why should you listen to me? So this information right here is from Whitespark. They're a digital marketing agency out in Canada, and periodically they put together the most important ranking factors for local search. And so the information on the left is for Google Business Profiles, showing up in the map pack, and on the right is for the blue links, okay? Now, because we don't know the algorithm, like I don't work for Google, I can't tell you what the algorithm actually says. I'm using this information, I'm leaning on SEO experts. And so that's what this is. It's a survey of SEO experts, digital marketing agency owners, and SEO influencers. And so right here, these are the most important factors for the Google Business Profile. And so notice that obviously the most important thing is filling out your Google Business Profile. That makes sense. But look how important the reviews are. And so reviews are a very important factor. Now, that can be overcome by something called proximity. Again, that's being closer to the searcher, like our friend Wayne called out earlier, right? But also your website influences where your Google Business Profile ranks, which is fascinating because also your Google Business Profile influences where your website ranks in the blue links. So it's really important to do these things together. And when it comes to organic SEO, which is what we're going to talk about next, what we do on the website is super important. And the second most important thing is that building authority. Again, we'll talk about the bad words there in a second. So what really matters for your website? Now, if you scroll down farther in that resource that I was talking about, the number one most important factor is having a dedicated page for each service. So if you offer multiple services, you do pressure washing, you do fence cleaning, you do window washing, you do all these things, you want to have an individual page for each one of those services. That's super important, and it makes it so you can actually line up a keyword with that page, all right? I like to call those your money pages. And you want to make sure you have a well-structured site. You want to have things like an about page, a contact page, right? If you don't have a well-structured site, it can confuse Google. It's really important to also naturally place keywords in what I like to call the SEO hotspots. And so I know there's a marketing agency owner in the room, so hopefully he can verify with me that these are the SEO hotspots here. And so now we're not going to get too much into the technical side of things, because hopefully you don't have to dig too much into your own SEO efforts, but it's really important to put the keywords in certain places naturally. Don't jam them in there, but also you don't need to overdo it. If you put keywords too much in the page, that can also penalize you. So you want to be very natural about it. Now, if you want to see me going through this, I actually put together a video series where I tried to rank my own page higher for SEO Bend, Oregon, which is actually a pretty competitive keyword. And so the first video, I just do the keyword research, and I talk about how to do that for free. And then over here, I actually lay out my content strategy of how I built it out for that specific page. And so if you're to follow along, definitely check out those videos. Again, it's on YouTube, so it's free. By the way, if you like free stuff and you like free SEO tips, I also have an email newsletter. So this is a different link here. And so if you like getting SEO tips straight to your inbox, then check out this link right here. And all you need is your first name, your email. And I don't sell to that list. Those are my people. So I take good care of them and just send a little good stuff to them. And so this is a different QR code. Yeah, this is for the email list. And I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to keep scrolling. And so it will be this one right here going forward. All right, so the last thing, so we said Google Business Profile, website, and now build authority. So when we're talking about building authority, what does that mean? We have to talk about backlinks. So that's a bad word in SEO land, but let's define it first. So a backlink is any site that links back to your website. So in this website, if they said something like, best real estate agent in, I forgot where you are, my friend, but Pasadena, best real estate agent in Pasadena, California, right? And it was a link that pointed back to your website. That would be a backlink. And so very quick crash course in the search engine algorithm is, Google won the search engine wars because they figured out how to rank pages. And what they did is they did a popularity contest. The more backlinks, the better. But that was the early aughts. People have figured this out and totally exploited it over time. So it's not about quantity of backlinks, it's about quality of backlinks. And you do not need a lot for local SEO. I can't stress that enough. And if you don't remember anything from this lesson, it is please don't buy backlinks from Fiverr or Upwork. That will probably hurt your SEO efforts versus helping them. Question in the back.
I was going to ask, when did they change their algorithm to start looking for quality versus quantity?
I off the top of my head, no, I think it's been for a long time. I think they've been checking for it, but sometimes when you go into tools like SEMrush or things like that, and they have that toxicity score, I think that's based off of, they're trying to have an analog of what Google's using behind the scenes. Yeah, so I think it's been around for a while, but I can't tell you exactly when it was. I want to say they started to trickle it out even in the late aughts, but it's really been in the mid-teens where it's really started to kick in. And so now these numbers aren't real here. These are my numbers, so bear with me here. But if we were doing normal SEO, like I said, if you go on YouTube and you look up SEO stuff, it's mostly about national SEO. Backlinks are way more important than content because it's what helps you rank. Actually, I've heard some people say it's 95% or more of normal SEO. But when it comes to local SEO, I think the content's more important because if you miss the bucket, then you can get all the backlinks you want. But if you're not in the right SEO bucket, then all your efforts don't matter. So you have to show up for real estate agent, Pasadena, California, and then you can work on this stuff. So how do we build authority? I'll keep it short here because the gal in the back's telling me that you're out of time. Now I got 5 minutes. Is locally relevant backlinks, industry relevant backlinks, and the important directories. Again, not a lot. Locally relevant would be things like your local chamber of commerce, maybe a local newspaper, like a business publication that publishes local stuff. Industry relevant backlinks can include things like trade associations. And then I like the important directories, obviously Google Business Profile, if you have a physical location, Apple Maps, things like Yelp, MapQuest. I like to go top 20 in the search engine result page, top 50, top 100, all right? And I just try to get listed on all of those. So how do we DIY our own SEO? Focus on what actually matters. Set up, optimize, and manage your Google Business Profile. Get that steady flow of high quality reviews. And do keyword thorough research. Just kidding, do thorough keyword research, but also proofread your slideshows before you present them to people. That's the fourth bullet point if you want to laugh at me. Make sure you build out and optimize specific pages for your money keywords. Those would be like your service area in your location. And then last but not least, look for just a few backlinks, not a lot. Now, how do we do SEO differently at ThenCan Designs? We don't do contracts. We just focus on getting good results. Hopefully you fall in love with us and stick with us for a long time. We start with an SEO foundation sprint. So we make sure that the Google business profile is completely optimized so you don't have to worry about that. You can keep running your business. Your technical SEO will get fixed, and we build up that keyword database. We find those money keywords that are really important for you to rank, and then we come up with the strategy. Some people don't like that the most money is invested in the strategy, but we want to have a plan to follow. The next thing is the SEO growth sprint. We build out content based on what we learned from the first phase. And sometimes we stretch that out over a few more months if the client wants to spread out the cost. And then we switch over to an SEO care plan, which is more like what most digital marketing agencies have, where you do Google business profile management, work on the website compared to your competitors, and try to get some more backlinks for you. And some of that cost is actually, the care plan starts right away. So the growth is really just a little chunk of the pie to build out those pages. And so no contracts, great communication, and the results don't always have to wait. Check out this video. Sorry for the poop emoji in the corner, but in this video, this is the page where this is the conclusion to that 5-part video series where I show how I ranked my SEO page. I actually had no idea if I was going to get it to rank or not. Like, I just started at like 32nd. I was like, let's see what happens. And 3 months later, I was actually at number 1. So check that out. And marketing agency man, I want you to make sure that it was actually a competitive keyword later on. If what you heard today resonated with you and you want to start working with ThenCan Designs, you can actually get your SEO foundation sprint completely free. One person only gets it. You can scan this. You got to fill out a little bit of a form to make sure you're actually a local SEO customer, right? If you're not local SEO, then I can't help you. But yeah, check that out. So you get the SEO foundation sprint for free. And if you don't want to fill out the form right now, you can take a picture, go to that link later. I'll leave it open for a couple days. thencandesigns.com/events will take you to the form, and you can fill that out later. And there's one spot in the form you have to fill out that says secret word, and the secret word is keyword, okay? So if they don't do that, then I know they weren't actually at the event, or they didn't come here. So, and I didn't leave any time for questions, I'm sorry. If you look in your little book, there's a $29 comprehensive marketing review. So if you want to do that, you could scan a QR code and fill that out. It's in your little book that you got. And so if you're just curious, like, how am I doing right now? And you just want me to check it out, let me know. I love doing those things. So yeah, we have 20 seconds. Does anybody have any questions?